I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 460. Welcome to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello, all my dear friends all over the world. It's a snowy day in the Midwest. How is it for you? Well, today I have a special guest on my program. It's one of my clients who has had an amazing transformation, and I just can't wait for you to hear her. She sent me an email around New Year's that I want to read to you, and that's why she's on the show today, because this email was just, the letter that she wrote me was so touching that I really wanted her to share her experience with you. So this is what she wrote to me. She said, I am doing great. I can't believe the transformation of my life and my mind that has occurred compared to a year ago through my work with you and the work that has spurred me to do on my own. It truly is amazing. I remember before I worked with you, watching videos of clients who would cry in appreciation and describing how much you have changed their lives. I remember having this feeling that I would end up feeling that way, and I do. And this is from Jill, who you're going to hear. And her story is truly amazing. She's a bright, brilliant woman who now has what she wants most, which is exactly, I know what you want too, which is to have confidence and trust in your body and in your food and basically in you and in your life. And that's what Jill has done. So I want you to sit back and enjoy this interview. And I'll hop back on in the end and say a few things. But truly, this is amazing. Enjoy. Hi, Jill. Welcome to my podcast.
Hi. Thank you.
Yes, I will tell you what, we have had quite the journey, have we not?
We absolutely have.
Yes. And I will tell you what, I've already read why I wanted to have you on here. I read it as I introduced you, which everybody has already heard. But what you said in that letter was that you had heard me interview other women and you just knew that you were going to be one of those women, that the way that they felt about working with me, that some of them had tears in their eyes, they were very emotional. And you knew, what you said is that you knew that you would be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And just to start this conversation, are you one of them?
Yes, I do feel like I am.
Wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about how you got here, because I think everybody is usually very curious. And since you are probably a lot like the listeners who are listening right now, because you were listening to the podcast before you decided to work with me, right?
Yes.
How long were you listening?
Definitely a few months.
And what made you decide to book a mini session with me?
Yeah, I think that I had planned to do that from the very beginning. And it was just, I just felt like I needed some level of credibility in terms of just knowing that all of this was for real and not just somebody's podcast. Because when you start listening to you, you're just some coach in St. Louis. And it was really the interviews with other people and getting to see and hear from your clients that made me feel comfortable moving forward.
And for you, what was life like for you before you decided to work with me in terms of how you felt about your body, about food, about life in general? What was it like?
As we know, I was not in a good place. I had definitely been one of those who struggled with weight my whole life, focused on it really obsessively. And about 2 years before we started working together, my sister passed away, and that affected my weight. And then a year after that was COVID, and that affected it even more. And I was kind of approaching an all-time high and very frustrated and feeling horribly about myself. And down. And yeah, it was a tough time.
And so you were feeling like that. And then how did you decide to set up that mini session? Because sometimes when you're feeling that bad, it's also really hard to do something that's going to help.
Yeah. I've tried to think about why I just finally did it. And I can't exactly remember what pushed me over the edge. I know that I had a mini session and then I had to wait a little while before we started coaching. Mm-hmm. And I think during that wait, things definitely were not getting any better for me. Mm-hmm. So I guess I just had enough evidence, I guess, whatever I was looking for to feel like, okay, this person is for real. This is not just a podcast. This is somebody who really does have clients. And maybe you mentioned I am a psychologist myself. So I really needed to feel pretty certain that this was real.
Yeah. So not only are you a psychologist, but you also own your own company, right?
Correct.
I mean, like you're a very successful woman in your own right.
Thank you.
You are. But how does that feel like when you see that and then you see what you feel like around food in your body and all of that? Did you want the same thing that you had? Like you had done so many things. Did you want the same thing in this area of your life too?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to, but I can tell you that as a psychologist, you can't apply that stuff to yourself. You can't see it yourself in your own life, even though you know a lot. And as a psychotherapist, I've had a lot of therapy myself. And I think that what you get from coaching and what I got from you, I never got in therapy. And you don't get in therapy. It's different and it's amazing. So I wanted what I knew I was going to get from you. And I knew that that was what I had been needing in many ways. And obviously, this is the time in my life when it came to me. And maybe that wasn't the right time then. But I knew there was more than I had gotten in the past. And I just had this feeling I was going to get it from you.
I love that. I really do. When we're going back and talking about this, that you just had this feeling. You had a feeling that you were going to be one of those women. You had a feeling that what I had to offer you was different than what you had and that it was going to give you what you needed. I really love that and almost forget about that for you because sometimes when you're in the middle of it, you forget that you're going to get there. And watching you, I would say one of the biggest things about you that I remember is that you did everything I asked you to do and then some. And why did you do that? You would send me things in the middle of the week and you were very curious about everything that was going on in your life, even when you didn't like it, but you really wanted leadership and you were really willing to do whatever it takes.
I remember very vividly in our mini session toward the end of it, you said, all you need to do is just do what I tell you to do, and this will work. And so I took that to heart. And
you know what? You did.
And you were right. And it worked.
Yeah. And I mean, that says a lot about you because you do have a PhD. And you know what I think about that is I think that the way that you decided to get into this work with me is in that same type of idea that this was hard work and you were going to do it. It's like you just did all your homework. It's like you were doing your dissertation in this. It's almost how it looks to me.
Well, I guess to me, it seems obvious, but the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And I really wanted to get as much out of it as I possibly could.
Yeah. And I just want for everybody that's listening to hear your words, because that is really the truth, because it's not like it was a cakewalk, pardon the pun, but it was hard work for you. Yes. And I remember you saying to me, even just recently, is that you didn't really know that you were emotionally eating.
Correct.
Would you say something about that? Because I think everybody that's hearing this, some people will always say, well, I am an emotional eater, but I think it's interesting when you think you're not.
I didn't want to believe I wasn't. I didn't want to think, oh no, do I meet criteria for binge eating disorder or something like that? Even though I would do things like get out of bed and eat for my whole life, I just had this resistance to looking at it for what it was. And learning about urges and emotional hunger and physical hunger and all of the tools that you use, I really think that I was never going to get a handle on it until I could see it for what it was and use the tools. And then that became one of your tools is why is this the last time? That really became one of the main reasons that I knew, because I had never realized that or admitted it to myself. And now that I know that, I can't ever go back.
I love that. And I think that's an interesting thing to say too for everybody, people who have worked with me before and people who want to work with me, is that, let me ask you this. Did you ever have a fear once you figured this all out? Did you have a fear that you were going to go back or that you were going to leave it?
No,
Why?
I never have.
Why?
Well, in part, I have a lot of faith in you and knowing enough about you personally to know that what you have done has worked for you. Mm-hmm. And all the tools that you use are pulling in, as you've said, philosophies and techniques, many of which are thousands of years old. There's just so many resources. So maybe part of it is accepting that I will have blips and I will have ups and downs. Mm-hmm. But the key to all of this is that never happens. The key to it is that you know what to do.
You know what? I think you said it absolutely beautifully. And I think I saw this as we were working together when you had this aha moment, because I think there were times when you go, hey, I'm still doing this. That means there must be something wrong.
Yes.
Right. And when I hear you talk now, I see how far you've come. Because now you have the reason, I think, just from what you said, that this is going to be the last time is because you know what to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you talk about faith in me, I think what you're saying is you have total faith in yourself now.
True. But some of that is I can think about coaching sessions when you would just normalize what had happened. And this may not be the words you use, but you said something like, I think right now you're in a phase of coming back. Sometimes we're just coming back to the protocol, coming back. You're going to get off track maybe when you go on vacation or things happen. And so it's all just part of the process, as at times you're coming back.
Absolutely. And it's really what I teach. And it's really what you got is that all you have to do is come back, and you know how to do that. Mm-hmm. And you have come back many times. Yeah.
Yeah. And also part of you teaching that you're just never going to stop. The people that fail are the people who stop. So just don't stop.
Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, I'm just going to get off here and let you talk. But when people hear you talking now, Jill, this was not the way you were talking in the beginning. So I just want everybody to know that this is not where you started. Even though you're very, very smart and you're a psychologist, this is not where you started.
Not at all.
And so you were in a pretty dark place for a while.
Yeah.
And how did you get yourself, because being in a dark place and moving forward are very difficult things to do together. You know that, being a psychologist. How did I help you? Or how did you help you do it, even though, because being in a dark place, eating emotionally and feeling like you're never going to get it, because that's where you were in the beginning, is you didn't think it was ever going to work. I don't know if you remember that, but I do. And not just you. It's like, that's what I love people to hear this, because you just have to go through it.
Yeah. I think that, knowing that I had a coach and I had help and there was a process and there was a structure. And at the time, well, it was more focused on tools for weight loss, but I knew that it was much more than that. And so sometimes just knowing that, okay, there's somebody out there who's helping me, and it's not therapy, but it was someone who was helping me. And I remember one of our very first sessions, I was emotional. And I remember you helped me just feel it in my body and allow it and get through it. And I was able to do that and then kind of feel better and get to work. And I know now that probably you would have done that with me as many times as it took to be able to get through the emotion and do the work. But as it turned out, it helped me pretty quickly to just feel confident in you and comfortable and start moving in a different direction.
Yeah, I remember that too. And what I think what you're saying that everybody can gain from is that even though you know this stuff, when you're really in it and feeling it and come out the other end, there is something very enlightening about that, right? Because you didn't die.
Yeah. There's so many tools that you have. And I remember you telling me I have lots of different tools and I use different tools with different people. And I think that one of your tools is learning how to manage emotions and just feel the feelings that at the end of the day, it's a negative vibration in your body. And I didn't understand, I heard those words and I didn't understand them at first, but I do now. I feel like I do now. And that's incredibly valuable.
It's almost because you let yourself, like when I think about this and I think about putting the work in and how hard you worked, it's like you just took everything that I said and worked it, even though it hurt and it was hard. And I know you're saying it's because you believed I could help you and that you had faith in me. But what I want people to know is that in order for you to feel that way about me, you have to believe that you have the strength to do it.
Well, and all of your tools intuitively made sense to me. And I think that's one reason that I knew that I would be one of the incredibly grateful and transformed people, because everything you teach, not every single thing, but so much of it I've dabbled in on and off. I've been drawn to it. It's made sense. And so that helped me to feel like, okay, this is right for me.
As you're talking about this, and we talk about the difference between therapy and coaching, because a lot of people really don't understand that. But I think for you, knowing the difference and having so much therapy, and yet it sounds to me like what you're saying is coaching is what helped you get over.
Mm-hmm.
How was that? How did that work for you? What was that difference? If you could verbalize it, because I don't know if it's easy to verbalize, but knowing what you know and knowing what I saw you do with me and knowing that you knew a lot to begin with.
Well, I think that therapists could pull in tools from coaching. They could use coaching, but coaching it's funny because people will come into psychotherapy sometimes and say, just tell me what to do. And in therapy, it doesn't quite work that way. It's just not really the model. Right. But in coaching, someone tells you what to do, but they don't just tell you what to do. They also help you see yourself and kind of give you feedback, but it's around very specific and structured things. And I just really appreciated the specific tools and the structure. And you don't get bogged down in the past and other people and things that can take up a lot of time in therapy, and that maybe people really need to tell those stories. And there's definitely a place for that, but coaching is not the place for that. So I think maybe it appeals to people that are really ready for just give me the tools, help me in terms of this framework, and it's a different outcome.
Yeah. So with you, because you didn't want to think that you were an emotional eater, and yet we really did get to identify how you were emotionally eating and how you were using food, because I think people think of food journals and automatically they don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And can you say something, because food journals were your jam? I mean, you did those and you learned so much from them, but can you say a little bit about why it's so different and how it brought up so much stuff for you?
Yeah, because the food journal is not about the food. I think everyone probably thinks of food as points and tracking and calories and calculating, and it's not about the food. I remember it. I remember the first time I sent you a food journal and I put a little comment that said, of course, my eating has been atrocious. And one of the first things you said to me was, that's a thought. And I was sort of like, oh, okay, whatever. But I realized over time that the food journal is how you figure all of this stuff out. That's how you notice that you weren't hungry physically, but you were eating. So therefore, that was emotional hunger. So what was going on? And from there, you learn to start becoming aware of your thoughts and learning the model. And from there, you learn how to go back when you've done that, either with you or later on your own.
Yes.
And figure it all out. So it's not anything like a food journal that you've done on a diet. And if you don't put anything negative in there, you're not going to get anywhere.
That's a good point.
That's the material. That is the material for the coaching.
Right. And, there's so many people, and I know you were not like that, but sometimes you want to have these perfect food journals that you want to send me.
Yeah. That's when I said,
you think like that?
Atrocious. Well, I was embarrassed at first. I was embarrassed to send you the journal. And I felt like I needed to point out to you that I knew it was atrocious, because obviously I was concerned about what you were going to be thinking. And so I'm imagining that that's probably how a lot of people feel. Like, it's embarrassing. You don't want someone to see how many cookies you ate or whatever it was, but that's the reason that we're with you. That's the whole point, is to look at that. That's how you get it. And maybe that's, in a way, there are therapists who use self-monitoring and journaling and stuff like that, but you can't just talk about it. It's much more than just talking to your coach. You have to do it.
Absolutely. And as I think about this and I think about this journey with you, how you ate, what you ate, and was a mind-opening experience to what was actually going on inside of you. Would you say that food journaling, but it actually becomes almost like mind journaling by what you put in your mouth?
Yes, absolutely. It is.
And I think that's a huge difference between any type of therapy and this specific process that I use in coaching.
Well, I think early on, maybe I thought, and maybe some people think that the point of the food journal is to learn how to eat between the twos, sort of learn the physical part of it and listen to your body and eating mindfully. And we've probably all heard that before. And it is that in part, but it's a lot more to be able to notice the difference between the emotional and the physical. And when those numbers are not lining up in your eating, that gives you the material to figure out what's going on.
Absolutely, to be able to get that. And then that's where my coaching ends up coming in, is by looking at those numbers, not really looking at what you're eating.
Right, exactly.
I'm curious for you, because what were some of the bonuses, surprising bonuses that you got out of losing weight and doing this food journaling and doing this little thinner piece process? What were some bonuses that you got that you didn't expect?
Well, I haven't started. I have a daily meditation practice, and I spend a lot more time than I've ever used to reading and studying some of the things that have always interested me that also interest you, like some of the Buddhist philosophy. I'm not a Buddhist, but studying it, Pema Chodron, really exploring all of that. And I kind of have two journals. I have one where I take notes on what I'm learning, and then I have one where that's more personal, where I will go and do a thought download and try to create models when I do eat emotionally. And that's part of my daily life now. And that's been amazing. That's been a huge transformation that has been so helpful. And that's part of it that I think always appealed to me. And I always knew it made sense, but somehow through working with you is how I pulled it into my everyday life.
In some respect, what you're saying is that you've really taken maybe even more time for yourself to do things that you think would help you. But I mean, it took work.
Yes, it did.
I mean, this is a dissertation thing that I'm talking about. For people who are listening, is when they're listening to you and you're talking, you have to see that this woman, Jill, that I'm talking to, puts a lot of effort into this.
I do, but it's funny because this part of it just sort of evolved organically and naturally. I didn't decide, okay, I'm going to develop this morning routine, which is how I normally am. Normally, I would decide, okay, I need to do this. And then I would think that I need to do all kinds of research on the best way to do it. And then I would probably get sidetracked into confusion, as you've helped me realize, and probably never do it. This just kind of gradually developed itself.
And we can tell people this too. It's like, you don't use food too much for emotions anymore, right?
Right.
So that means that you have a lot of space for other things. And I think maybe that's how this probably came about, is that if you're not worried and obsessed about food all the time, you do have an opening to go, well, what else do I want? What else do I want? What else do I need? And to actually give it to yourself, and how fulfilling it is. And as we're talking about that, I also think about, would you say as a bonus that maybe even that your relationships are better?
Oh, absolutely.
Is that like a bonus? Did you expect that?
That's a huge bonus. No, I absolutely did not. But I think that an overall message with all of this is self-compassion and acceptance. And that means accepting other people as they are. And when you accept other people as they are, and you're more aware of your own thinking and how much of your responses to other people are due to your automatic thoughts that aren't necessarily true. And it's possible to try to focus more on just letting people be who they are.
That's so nice of you to do that. That's how I look at it. It's like what you're saying is letting people be who they are.
Yeah, because changing them always works out really well.
As a therapist or a coach, right? It's like neither one of us can tell people how to do that, right?
Right. So I can tell people all day long that they're doing that. But of course, it's a lot easier to see when I'm doing it with a coach.
Yeah. And, like I just think specifically your relationship with your husband. He's probably pretty much the same, than when we first started.
Oh, yeah.
But it seems to me that the way you see him, it almost seems like he's changed a lot.
Well, I think that the way I see him through your help has changed a lot. I think that you were able to help me not take the things that he says and does to me personally. That he's just doing what he does. It's not me.
And then you get to be a little bit more concerned about what's going on inside of you.
Right.
Right. Where you can make lots of changes, which you have.
I have.
I know. So a relationship is so much better. And yet everything is exactly the same other than the way your brain is functioning.
Yes. It's amazing.
It is amazing. And then we can go to how you view your own work before and after. Do you like your work more now?
I do.
Has it changed?
No, not at all.
So you hired me because, well, not just because you wanted to lose weight, but most people hire me because of the weight thing.
That's why I hired you. I just had a feeling I'd get a lot more out of it. But if all I'd gotten was the weight loss, it would have been worth it. I just got so much more.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the bonuses. And we've been working for a while. So we worked past the 12-week program. We've been working for a while. Yeah, I just want everybody to know that. But what I want people to know as I continue to coach you is that we don't talk about food very much anymore, do we?
Rarely.
So I just want everybody to know that even if you continue to work with me, it's not like we keep working on the same thing over and over again.
No.
Some of the same thoughts come up over and over again.
For sure. Yeah.
But now it's like, how much weight did you lose? Just so people know.
Over 30 pounds. I'm not even sure that I'm done losing. I don't have to really worry about that.
Oh, it's just so nice that you don't have to worry about it. Just saying, do you have to worry much about any of this food, eating, even like, which is really worth talking just a little bit about is drinking and alcohol. And because that is kind of a joy eat drink type of category, but your experience through that, your learning experience through that would probably worth just saying a few things about how you felt about alcohol and being social and now how you think and feel about it.
Well, I drink a lot less,
but
especially
you still drink, lets everybody know. It's not
like oh, sure. Yeah. It's just usually socially versus like every night while I'm cooking kind of thing. And I don't miss it.
You don't miss it? Say something about that you don't miss it. I mean, because it's really important stuff because people are going, oh, if I have to give up something that I like, I'm going to miss it so much because you thought you were.
Yeah. I used to feel like it really went with cooking dinner. It was sort of like a reward for cooking dinner.
With things. Yes.
And I cut it out to just thinking that it was temporary to try to lose the weight. And if I wanted some wine while I was cooking dinner, I would have some. But I haven't really missed it or really think about it. So I enjoy wine. I enjoy cocktails, all of it, good beer, but it's mainly socially. And I definitely drink less in those situations. And
say something about that. The social and the drinking and how you put them together now. Like, first of all, I know you can be social and not drink, right? And you can be social and drink. Like you could take it or leave it either way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I usually do, but there are times when I don't. You know, when your body feels good, when you're not overeating and you're not treating your body that way, you're more aware of what makes you not feel good. So I don't want the feelings that come with over drinking. So that's a pretty good way to not do it.
Yeah. I think when people hear this is really, really important. And I hear it a lot. It's like once you're on your own side, you just want what's best for you. You don't want to feel bad.
Yeah.
And so it's more like, do I need to drink to be comfortable or do I just want to be able to enjoy the cocktail, but to feel good too? You can do both.
Yeah. I've noticed that no matter what the situation, I just really don't go past a certain point. I will have the wine because I'm enjoying the meal, but then I will find I don't want anymore. I don't want, because I know that if I go past this point, I'm not going to feel good.
That's
I'm going to be tired in the morning.
That's how you think now. Right. It's like, I just want people to hear that I'm not going to feel good. It's like you have a little conversation and pretty soon it's just like a little kid going, I don't want it anymore. I don't want it.
But I don't have to try or think about it.
Exactly.
And, you know, before all this started, when you're overeating and over drinking and you just know that you don't feel good, you don't really know how much of it is which factor. But then when you clean it up and you're in a different place, it's much easier to realize what causes what. And it becomes pretty automatic to just want to feel good.
I love that. So it's like when you want to feel good, it's easy to say, I don't want it.
Yeah. I don't have to say it. I don't have to struggle with it. I genuinely don't want it. So I just don't do it. I just stop when it's time.
Yes. But that is the way that we're really wired. And that's how little kids are. It's like, it's just no.
Right.
That's how you are now. And I just want everybody to know you weren't like this. This is not how it started.
Nope.
And so, like, the things that we're talking about, that you're talking about, is this is a possibility. This wasn't where you were, but it is where you are now.
True.
Right.
Maybe you should do it before and after.
Well, I think that's what we're talking about. It's like where you were before that's why I asked you, is where were you before? And it's like, you didn't think you could control yourself around food, right? I mean, at that time. And you really had an issue with your own body and basically just kind of fighting with life a little bit. And you lost your sister. There was stuff that happened. But with all of that, here you are now. Where are you now? That's where you were. What's it like for you now? How do you feel now?
I feel great because I don't have all the chatter in my mind. Well, that's not true. We always have the chatter.
Okay.
But I'm able most of the time to manage my mind. And I feel like I'm so much more able to just be in the moment and enjoying the moment rather than having my thoughts all scattered around on what I need to do next and what I need to get done. And I remember I used to have this constant feeling of overwhelm and not having enough time. And am I ever going to get everything done in my list? And I just don't have that anymore. And so it's so much easier to enjoy everything because I can just focus on whatever's happening and accept it. And it's great. I remember I was doing a little 5-year journal that my niece gave me, and you fill it out for 5 years every day. It asks a question so you can look back at your answers. And last year I put that my biggest obstacle was monkey mind. And this year I couldn't think of any obstacles. I literally was like, everything's great. I really don't have any obstacles because I've gotten out of my own way.
Well, maybe that's the biggest takeaway, is that not only have you gotten out of your own way with your own thoughts, but you've also become your own best friend. You have your own back.
Yeah. And this realization that I can control this. I'm in charge of this.
And when you say you're in control of this, that means anything. I mean, you're in control of what goes on, what you want to manage in your own mind.
I mean, my mind. Yeah.
And then what you ultimately do, if whether it comes to food or work or another person, it's all kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Right. I decide how I manage it in my mind.
Woo! Listen to that, people. Listen to that, because that's not where she started.
It's not. It absolutely was not.
And it really is. It would be lovely to do like a before phone call and an after phone call. Like, to hear this, it's like it's almost hard for people to know that you, being so smart and so successful, would have all of these thoughts about yourself and with food and all of that. So I think it's nice for people to hear that, just to hear it's like, yep, you can be like that, but you also ended up using some of those beautiful traits that you used in owning your own company or getting your own PhD. You used a lot of what got you to those things. You used it for this too.
That's true. Just the hard work, the persistence.
And so before we end, what would you say to somebody who is out there who is probably more like you, who's struggling with weight and hesitant to do this? What would you say to them?
That everything you are hearing is for real, that this works, that it's different, that if you do what Dr. Deb says and hang in there, you will lose the weight and you will transform. I 100% believe that. And it really is an investment in yourself. It pays off and it's invaluable. It's really, I could probably say it's the best thing I've ever done for myself.
Wow. Jill, there is nothing more that I would want to say other than thank you for being here. It has been a joy to work with you, and I hope that everybody hears your message. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, everybody, what did I tell you? She is very, very smart. Yeah. I mean, she's a psychologist. She owns her own company, and yet she still was struggling and in a dark place. And now she's not anymore. And I think it was really good for you to hear her, because she is a psychologist. So she really understands the difference between therapy and coaching, and how coaching really made the difference for her after her journey. So it's like she didn't even realize, or she didn't even want to admit that she was doing emotional eating. She really didn't want to do food journals, but you heard her talk about how much she learned from all of that. And the other thing that I think is just really very important for all of you to hear is that she's no different than you, but that if you heard her interview, know that she was where you were. She heard interviews too, and she decided that she would be one of those women. Is it time for you? Are you ready to be like Jill? It's possible. The tools that I use work. The process works. She said it very, very clearly, and she's a smart lady. So listen, if you're ready to make this the last time that you ever have to do this again, then please go to drdebbutler.com/work with me, and you too can set up a mini session and you can end up where Jill is now. And of course, I would never end this podcast without saying to you, and Jill said it in the interview too, please, please, please be very, very kind to yourself, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye. If you've been following my podcast and you're loving all the tools that I teach you, but you're just not sure that you can do it or apply it by yourself, then please go to drdebbutler.com/work with me. And you can find out if the program that I do and the coaching that I do will help you get to where you want to be, to learn all the tools that I teach and be able to make it a part of your life. Just go to drdebbutler.com/work with me. You can set up a free 30-minute mini session.